This is a LearnAU Insight production. For this installment of our Insight production, LearnAU instructional designers will share best practices in using Blackboard in the classroom. We'll show Blackboard Learn, which you've been using for many years now, and the new Blackboard Ultra, and share some best practices for that. I'll share how to communicate in Blackboard for your in-person class. So I'm going to share my screen. So here's just a basic sandbox shell of traditional Blackboard or Blackboard Learn. So one of the best methods to communicate with your students is through using the announcements page, which if you don't touch anything in Blackboard, that is your landing page. So that'll be the first thing in Blackboard Learn that your students see. And all you have to do is create an announcement, give it a title, write any important things students should know. You can share pictures, you can show videos, give them insight. We suggest communicate once a week so students know what's going on in class, share what the game plan is each week. And the greatest feature of this tool is that you can send a copy of this announcement to everyone in your class. So not only is it the first thing students see when they log into Blackboard, they'll also receive an email because you send a copy to all of your students. This also works in Blackboard Ultra here on the side, where you can do an announcement. The nice thing about Blackboard Ultra is the fact that it shows up as a pop-up when students enter their class. So just hit a plus sign and it behaves the same way as traditional Blackboard. Give it a title. You can even tell it the recipients, and then you can either schedule the announcement or send a copy to students so they receive an email. So pretty similar, a little different because it's not the landing page, but it does provide a pop-up when students enter the class. Another very important feature is you can actually send an email through Blackboard. It might not be one of the default options on the side, but you can add that tool or just go to your course tools. So I'm just going to scroll down to course tools, and then there should be an email option. Send email. And then these are all of your options to email your students. You can send an email to one student, and this will keep a log of any communication that you have with your students via email. You can do it the old-fashioned way, but this also logs in Blackboard. There is a messaging option. I am not a fan of the messaging option in regular Blackboard, but I love it in Blackboard Ultra. So if I go away from here, along the top in Blackboard Ultra, there's messaging, and it behaves pretty similar to the announcements feature Blackboard Ultra. Hit a plus, and then these you can cater to students specifically. You can add a name, all course members, all students, all instructor, or specific student. And then you can send a copy. You can also give options to interact so they can respond to this. And also when they first log into their Blackboard Ultra class, it'll give them a pop-up that you have a message, but you can also have it send an email. Another great feature in the newest version of Blackboard Ultra is if you have a content area, in this course, I called it course materials, you can turn on an option to have class conversations. It defaults off, so all you have to do is click it, hit save. In this content area, you just put any content you want, read this book, watch this video, read this article, and students can click that icon, or you can be the person that facilitates that conversation, that sidebar conversation. And just simply put, you get the entire menu bar. Any questions on this week's content? Then students will receive a notification in the content area. So this will flag that they have a message. So if I go to student preview mode, and we go to module 1, there's a little indication that there is a communication on this content page, and students can click on it and then interact, a sidebar, ask questions, kind of like an office hours type deal, or the students can engage each other and talk about the content on the side if anything is interesting. This works great if you're in an online class, but awesome if you're in an in-person class, because those conversations can continue after the course is done for the day. They leave and they love what you talked about. They love the content. They can continue the conversation, and you can facilitate any additional chat here or even assign in-class participation for them to continue to talk about a material item. All right, well, next I'm going to kick it over to Katie.
Hi there. I will also be working in both Blackboard Learn and Ultra, but what I'm going to talk about is submissions. So receiving student work using Blackboard, as well as grading that work. So the creation of assignments is something you may already be familiar with in Blackboard Learn. You just use the build button, and then you can create an item. You can also create an assignment by selecting assignment or test here. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You also may already be familiar with the ways to grade, but if not, I'll go over them quickly. There are 2 ways to grade and learn. So you can either use this needs grading option. And when you navigate there, you'll see all ungraded submissions, and you can navigate to the user attempts and grade it from there. The other way that you can grade assignments, if you want to, say, navigate to a specific student's assignment and grade it, is by using the full grade center. So what I could do from here is select the assignment that was submitted. You can see this icon indicating I haven't graded it yet. If I scroll down and hit attempts, I can also score the student's work here and leave feedback. So those are the 2 main functions that you would use in a face-to-face class to collect and grade student work. One of the benefits of using Blackboard to do grading and to pass back feedback is that it's really quick. So you don't have to wait till the next time you meet in class to say pass back papers. It also helps students to really clearly see their progress in class. So if you're just passing back papers, they might not have a clear sense of what their overall grade is. But if they're looking at a list of grades within Blackboard, they will have a sense of that. Their gradebook view doesn't look like yours. They just see, of course, their own scores, but they also see it in rows. So they get a good sense of their progress in class. Similarly, in Ultra, you can also use these functions. Here at LearnAU, we're really excited about Ultra. We're trying to use it more and more because it's such a neat, improved version of Learn. So this is what the landing page looks like on Ultra, much like Chuck's. And you can see that these plus signs populate between the rows. By hovering over the plus sign, you can see that I get options to create things to add to my class. Almost always, you will click the create button because this is how you make an assignment, which is one of the most important things you do in class. So here are the different items that you can build. If you scroll down under assessment, that's where you can build an assignment or a test. And I just want to quickly show you some of the options that you get on Ultra when you build an assignment, just in case you haven't used this platform yet. So you might notice that you start with this blank area. You can then select add text so that students have a sense of the directions. You might notice there are also these other options, say to add an essay question or a hotspot question. Instead of using these options in an assignment like you see here, we recommend instead creating a test to ask students those kinds of questions. So this is what a submission looks like. You also have some additional options. If you click this gear icon, you'll open an extended menu of the settings. And there are lots of settings here, and many of them are similar to the settings on Learn. But one that I just want to highlight is at the very bottom, where you see additional tools. This is where you can enable Safe Assign to run students' assignments through a plagiarism checker. When you select that, you get kind of this easy switch on, switch off, and then you can personalize the options a little bit so that students might see the report or excluding submissions from the global database that Safe Assign uses. So let me save this assignment. There's one more step that you want to make sure that you accomplish when you build an assignment like this. You want to make sure that the assignment is available to students. Okay, actually, the way I would do this. Oh, thank you. So you can toggle this option at the top right corner. So make sure that you select visible to students after you select an assignment so that students can read the directions and submit. David is going to talk more in depth about the gradebook. So I won't go into this too much, but just to give you a quick peek at what grading looks like on Ultra, I'll select this gradebook tab. And I have a different set of options here than I do on Learn. Right now I'm in the grid view, which most closely mimics what we see in Learn under Full Grade Center. If I select this list view up in the top left, then I see a list of students' assignments. This is really nice because there are two sorting options here. So you can sort submissions by due date. So what students have submitted most recently will appear first, and you can kind of grade by submission. You can also sort by grading status, and you can do so that it stands out when you have 2 assignments to grade when grading's complete. And by sorting it, you can group those categories together. So you can see everything that's complete or where there's nothing to grade moves to the bottom. The last view I want to touch on is the student view. So the student view gives you sort of an overall sense of students' grades, and it also looks somewhat similar to the Learn view. The main reason I want to point this out is not only is it another area tracking grades, but it also allows you an easy way to reach out to students outside of class. So just as Chuck showed the messaging feature, this is a quick way to send a message to a student. Oops, sorry. Or this is kind of neat too. You can set up quick accommodations for students. So if a student needs extended time to complete an assignment, they can receive that time and you can just allow it with one click. Same thing with a time limit accommodation on a test. You can set that up here. You can switch from this grid view to a list view that allows you to toggle between gradable items and students. So beginning with this gradable items area, I want to first highlight that you can sort the submissions 2 different ways. You can sort them by due date. So the assignments that students have most recently submitted appear near the top. You can also, or the bottom, you can navigate it either way. You can also sort by grading status. This is really nice because it pulls up what you need to grade toward the top of the list, whereas items that are completely graded or just have nothing to grade fall at the bottom. So it kind of arranges your priorities for you. I also wanted to point out that these plus signs that pop up also allow you to manually add items from the gradable items view. So you can either add an assignment from here by hitting add item and then selecting the category, setting up grading and other details. Or you can add a calculation, and a calculation might be something like students' average grade or anything else that you need Blackboard to calculate for you that you don't want to manually do. From this view, you can also navigate to the item you have to grade like this, and you'll see you get this nice extended view. You have things like student status, and again, letting you know how many attempts you have to grade. You have this option to quick score. The other really nice thing I want to point out is that if you do have Safe Assign enabled in your assignments, you get this column where you get a quick icon indicating the originality of the submission. So you can see if I hover over this red icon, it lets me know the paper is high risk. And if I pull it up, you'll see, oh, it's because about half of my submission is a quote. If you want to view the originality report, you can select that. So this is really just another easy way to assess students' work using an online tool. Just one more thing, Blackboard Ultra is still in development, so they're still adding new features that we're learning about at LearnAU. One of the features that they're going to add is easier attempt switching. Oops, I shouldn't have clicked that. My apologies. Oh, actually, let me navigate to a different assignment. Just sample essay assignment. Okay, so here this is an easier example because a student has submitted 2 attempts for an assignment. If I click on 2 attempts, I can select one of the 2 attempts. Now, if I click in now, this feature doesn't yet exist, but you'll see if I click in, here's the area where I view the attempt. Eventually, we will have a new tool, which is really neat. It'll be right here where you see the attempt labeled. There will be a drop-down menu option so you can easily toggle between different attempts from students. So those are really the important features that I wanted to highlight in regards to submissions on Blackboard Learn and Ultra. From here, David will explain a little bit more about the gradebook and how to manipulate it and best use it in the physical classroom.
All right, thanks, Kitty. I can see how those are going to be huge time savers in your face-to-face classroom. And what I want to do is just build off of what Katie has, just in case there's a couple different assignments that you want to input into the gradebook. So let's jump into Blackboard. All right, so I'm going to start off in Blackboard Learn, and I'll jump back and forth whether you use Blackboard Learn or the new Blackboard Ultra. So the nice thing is you have your Blackbook or your Blackboard gradebook, and you're setting up your gradebook is from what Katie showed us. We put some assignments in, maybe you put some tests in as well. And you want to add a assignment that you completed maybe in class. There was something that students turned in class, and now you're after class, you want to grade that item. So what you can do is it's actually really simple. In your gradebook, so again, you go on the left-hand side, you go all the way down to your full grade center. And there's an option on the top menu called Create Column. And the Create Column is creating a grading column. So I'll create an in-class assignment. So in-class submission, in-class submission. You can give it a description if you want to. I'm going to be lazy and just copy that in. I could put the points possible. Let's say it's 50 points. If you want to add a rubric, you're more than welcome to create a rubric. But if it's a simple turn it in and you have your own paper rubric, you can grade that way. I could also add a due date if I want to. Everything else on the bottom is standard, and it's okay, so you can skip this part, but just in case, you can include this column in the grade center calculation, so you can say, yes, this is a gradable item. If for some reason there's a survey that a student does for fun, it's not for a grade, but you do want to document it, you can put no, and other items like that. Show this column to students, it's defaulted to yes. You can have columns shown to you, but not to the students. So if there's a reason that you want to see a column in your grade center, but you don't want to show that column to students, you can check no, but I'm going to leave it on yes. I'm going to share it with my students. And the show stats is if you ever want to show like the average and median and different types of calculations for the students, they can see that as well. It's defaulted to no, and I'm going to leave it on no. So again, I just went in, put in my column name, which is my assignment name, hit submit. And now I have, let me go scroll at the very end here, my in-class submission column right here, where now I can go in and go, okay, Charles here, he got a 30 out of 50, and Elise, she got, of course, 50 out of 50 on her assignment. And so I can input manual grades that way. So it's not tied to a Blackboard assignment where you have to submit anything. It's something maybe they submitted in class, or something that's not tied to they go to your Blackboard course, they submit a document or submit some type of media. It's just something that maybe you've done and you have a stack of papers or you have posters that someone completed and you want to put that into an in-class submission. It works very similarly in Blackboard Ultra. So again, I'm going to go into my Blackboard Ultra course here, and I'm in that grid view. I can switch over to this line item view. And instead of creating that or clicking that button at the very top left where it said create, you just hover over this plus sign at the very bottom. I'm going to add an item. And I'll do the same thing in class submission. And the same type of things. I'll make sure it's 50 points and the rubric, whatever you want to do, I'll hit save. And now I have this assignment that's going to be in my grade center on Blackboard Ultra that I can use in class submissions. All right, I'm going to switch back over here to Learn. There's another thing that you can try to kind of clean up the gradebook a little bit. Sometimes if you have a lot of assignments, and if you, like I do sometimes in this column right here, I have assignments where I put like an action verb, submit unit 3, the reflection paper, read chapter 2 in the pages 24 through 55, or it can be complete the chapter 1 quiz. If you use that and it's like taking up 3 lines, 4 lines, it's like a kind of a really long column header, you can shorten that down in Blackboard Learn. So you go to your grade center, and I have this kind of long written one here, submit unit 3 reflection paper. I'll hover above it and click the down arrow, which is a drop down menu. And if I go about halfway down, there's something called edit column information. So I'm going to click on edit column information. And what you'll see at the very top is what we're going to focus on is this item name. So this is the assignment that we named back in unit 3. It's a reflection paper, but I'm just going to call it U3 reflection. Because to me, I understand what that is. My students understand what that is. It's going to be real nice, one short, sweet, one-line thing in the grade book. And now I see U3 reflection in the grade book right here. Now, if you want to do that in Blackboard Ultra, you can, but I just want to make a kind of a alert for you, is that if you go in and you want to edit the name of an assignment, which you can do, so this is called Discuss Module 1 Discussion. If I erase this discuss like I did in Blackboard Learn, it's also going to erase it in that unit description as well. Whereas if I go back to Learn, notice this says U3 reflection, but if I went into my units, and I went to unit 3, it's still called submit unit 3 reflection paper. So it's still long in the unit, but when I go to the grade center, it is short. So let me go to the grade center and see how it's the U3 reflection. In Ultra, if I edit this name up here and I just say module 1 discussion, I can do that and save it. And it's going to be a little bit shortened in the grade book, but it's also going to go, and I go into my content area and I go into my unit 1, and it's going to be module 1 discussion in that area. So it's going to shorten only the content area. It's going to shorten in the, or it's not only going to shorten in the content area, it's going to shorten the grade book too. So it does it in both places. The nice thing though, even though it doesn't do the exact same thing that Blackboard Learn does, you can switch between that view that Katie showed us earlier. You have that grid view, but you also have this line view. So it is a little bit cleaner. So you can get away with longer names in Blackboard Ultra. If you get longer names in Blackboard Learn, it makes it a little bit messy when you look at the grade book. So again, you go in, go to edit column for information in Blackboard Learn. And this one, you can edit the name at the top. I click that little pencil icon, but no, it's going to change it in the content area as well. My last kind of tip to clean up that grade book to make it look really nice is sometimes you maybe want to rearrange these columns. So I was putting in the grades, and actually this test 1 is between assignment 1, then they take a test and they do assignment 2. And I really want my gradebook to reflect the order that students do things in class. It makes it easier for me, makes it easier for my students. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to manage, and I'm going to go down about halfway again to column organization. Now, column organization is going to allow me to, when I scroll down, it gives me a list of all the different grades. So the top is going to represent the most left-hand side of that view, and the bottom is going to represent the most right-hand side of that grid view. And so I said I wanted test 1 in between assignment 1 and assignment 2. So I can drag that up here in between. I can maybe do in-class submissions anywhere you want to. I want the total maybe to appear at the end instead of the beginning, or wherever you want to. You can drag wherever you want, hit submit, and that will auto update your gradebook columns. So now I have assignment 1, test 1, and then they do this other stuff afterwards. And to me, that makes a little bit more sense. You can do the same thing in Ultra, is you can change the order of this. So maybe I want to put this quiz in between assignment 1 and assignment 2. This one it's hidden at first. So I have to go over and I hover above my quiz that I want to move, and I go all the way to the right, and you'll notice that little arrow up and down arrow, that move arrow appears. It doesn't show up right away. I have to actually go hunt for it. And it goes, oh, maybe you want me. and I click and I drag, and you can see I can drag it anywhere I want to. I want to put it right in between assignment 1 and assignment 2. My dragging has a lot left to desired here. So some that you miss, I'll just go back down. I put it underneath, and I got assignment 1, quiz 1, assignment 2, and that's how I want to do it. And so now I can see those, and I'll switch it automatically to in my column view. So 3 simple tips kind of build off what Katie put on. You can do the assignments on Blackboard, which is a huge time saver. Students can submit their papers before class, after class, during class. You have all those papers that you can look and review, leave feedback on. For me, I would have papers in front of me and I'd spill my coffee and then I'd ruin the students' papers. Now I have a digital copy. And well, if you want to use Blackboard Learn, you can also do now the submissions. If they do an in-class submission, you can set up a gradebook column that way and kind of move around things, tweak things to how you like it. So you have a really nice gradebook to hopefully save you time. And you couple that with the awesome communication items that Chuck showed us, you can have a very nice kind of companion and enhancement to your face-to-face classroom.